Being able to show your team that you care for them, that you are looking after their welfare is very important in ensuring that they stay motivated. But how do you do that? Now, that's the topic that we'll be discussing in today's session here at the Corporate Mechanic. Hello everyone, this is Joey and welcome to the Corporate Mechanic. Now we're supposedly have ended our motivation series, but I'd like to add this episode as a bonus. So the topic today is not really something that is traditionally viewed as part of motivational theories, but as a practitioner, a management practitioner, this is something that I've actually found out to be very useful, and so I'd like to share that to you guys today. Okay, so the topic is all about the 5 love languages. Okay, sounds very interesting. It is actually a work by Dr. Gary Chapman. So he wrote a book about it, and this was a book that was released back in the 90s. Okay, the 5 love languages, and primarily this talks about relationships, particularly marriage, and to a certain degree talks about relationships with children, with family, and so on and so forth. So it became a very popular book during the day. But one thing that I did notice about this topic is that this can also be applied in the workplace. Now, applying the love languages will actually help you as a manager to be able to show that you care. Okay, I don't want to use the term love, you might take it differently. So, what's the whole concept of the 5 love languages? Now, the idea here is that from the term itself, it's a language. So what's a language? A language is what we use to communicate. So if, for example, I know French, let's just say, and then I talk to somebody who does not understand French, we will not understand each other. And so in order to be able to communicate to that person, I have to talk in the same language so that he understands, that person understands what I am saying. Now, the concept of the love language is such that there are different ways of showing love to a person to show that you care. But if that person does not understand that, then he will not appreciate it. He will not know that what you're trying to do is you're actually trying to show that you care and that you love a person. Okay? So let's talk about the 5 love language. What are these 5 love languages? The first one is what we call words of affirmation. Now, words of affirmation are basically, using words in order to show that you care, to show that you are a person, that person, you appreciate his work. So it's really the spoken words, what we say. So if you want to show a subordinate, a colleague, that he's doing good work, when you talk about words of affirmation, you actually tell it. Okay, you tell that person, hey, nice job, I like what you did. You're a good part of, you're a very, helpful person. I really appreciate your work. So it's really saying words. Okay? By doing that, and if that person's love language is words of affirmation, he will appreciate it. He will actually feel that he is being valued in the organization just by the words that you are saying. Giving him praise, giving him, telling him. It's basically the use of the words. It's what you say that motivates that person, that encourages him. So that's the first love language. Now, the second love language is what is known as gifts. So when you say gifts, it's actually giving something tangible to a person. It doesn't matter the value of the gift. What's important is the act of giving. It might be a very simple thing that you do. So for example, as a manager, you give some tokens, you give something small, Here in the Philippines, you give food, okay? So it's actually giving something. It's the fact that you took the time, took the effort to actually acquire something and provide something tangible to a person. So one way of showing, of giving gifts is having small tokens, treating people to lunch or dinner, giving them coffee, something like that. It's a small token. Doesn't have to be a big gift, just something that shows that you are appreciating that person through giving him something. Okay. Now, the third love language is what is known as quality time. When we talk about quality time, this is basically spending time with your subordinates. It's being with them. Okay? You don't necessarily have to do anything. A perfect example of spending quality time is, let's just say you're working with the team and you have to finish a project and you have to pull out an all-nighter. You as the manager probably don't need to do anything. What you're waiting for is the team's output, them to finish their work. But if you're going to show quality time, it's actually spending the time with them while they're doing overtime, while they're working late at night. You're also at the office with them. You don't just leave them behind and tell them, hey guys, I want that first thing in the morning. No, it's actually being there. It's actually being part of the team. You're spending time with them. They can see you. You are visible. You don't have to do anything. Your mere presence in itself already encourages them, already motivates them as a resource. Okay, so that's the third one. Now, the fourth love language is what is known as acts of service. When you say acts of service, now this is doing something for your resources. Now, it's very rare that you will see managers doing something for their subordinates. But if your resources have that as a love language, then it's very important that you show it. Okay? So what's this act of service? It can be as simple as, if your team is struggling to do something, they need help. Okay? It might be, let's just say they're working their butts off on a project that you need to finish, and you know that they haven't had their lunch or their dinner. It's really offering up, hey guys, I'm going out. You guys want coffee? You guys want something to eat? I'll buy something for you. You're doing something for them to help them out. That's an example of a manager applying acts of service. It can be as simple as filing some reports or submitting something. It's really helping them out in some form, some manner. The fact that you help them out doesn't have to be a big thing. The fact that you help them out gets them to appreciate you better, makes them feel that, hey, our boss cares for us. He's helping us out in the things that we need to accomplish. Okay, so that's the fourth love language. Now, the fifth love language, I have to, tell you guys that we have to be careful about this somehow, because we're talking about office relationships. These are not family or personal relationships. Okay, so we have to be careful about the fifth one, which is touch. Okay, so of course, now I guess you understand what I mean by, when I say that you have to be careful about this. So when you want to show that you appreciate the person, how do you do that using touch in the corporate workspace? Well, when you say touch, it can be as simple as a handshake. It can be as simple as a high five. It can be as simple as a pat on the back. Okay, of course, again, be careful about it, because people might think differently about your actions. Okay, so you have to just try to be observant and be careful about it. But it is still a good way of motivating your team. Now, the question here for you, so those are the five love languages. So the question here for you as a manager is, what do you use? Well, you have to remember that each resource in your team will have their own love languages. Oftentimes, a person will have one or two dominant love languages. Personally, I'm touch and words of affirmation. Those are my two love languages. Okay, obviously there's not much touch in the office, but basically words of affirmation really work for me. Okay, so how will you know that? How will you figure that out? Well, the best way to figure that out is to observe your team, to actually look at them, to actually hear them, what they say. By the words that they say, by what they actually do, you will be able to figure it out. Because every person will need to show how much they care or their type of relationship with other people in the workplace. So if you see somebody who's always, bringing gifts to the office, always has something, in the Philippines, you call it a pasalubong. Okay. If they're always that type of person, then his love language is definitely gifts. If there's a person that always talks about people, always praises them, always has his opinion, his comment about another person, then oftentimes that person has words of affirmation. If you see someone who's actually doing something for his office mates, then that's a person who probably has acts of service as a love language. If that person, you see him accompany his office mates, his teammates in doing things, then it's probably quality time for that person. So it's really observing them, trying to understand what are their love languages and reciprocating in that manner. Okay? So it's not the same for everybody. So you have to understand what are the different love languages of your people. And by doing so, they will feel your concern, your genuine concern for them. Sometimes the reason why you as a manager, you're trying to do as much as you can so that you can lift the morale of your team, but it doesn't seem to work, it's probably because you're using the wrong love language. It's not something that they are understanding. But the moment that you can connect their love language with what you're doing, then I'm pretty sure that they will see it, they will appreciate it. Alright? So I do hope I was able to give you some insights on using this concept, the 5 love languages. Again, this is something that you can apply at the office, but most importantly, you can apply this in your personal life as well. Okay, so if you'd like to learn more about that, you can always grab the book on the 5 love languages. There are many versions of that book since the 90s, since it came out. But at the same time, if you have other questions about management, any concern that you may have, something that you'd like to learn more about, I highly encourage that you put that in the comment section. Write us up, tell us any comment, question that you have, and we'll try to answer it as soon as we can. Okay? So by the way, please do hit on the like button, hit on subscribe and notification so that you can get notified whenever we have new episodes coming up. We normally have episodes every Friday, and I do hope that you get to see all our episodes for you to learn a lot. Okay? So thank you guys for watching. Stay safe and stay blessed.